Hi, this is Mike, and we're looking at Ethereum. So I thought I'd save the best for last because this chart has a few patterns on it that can definitely be questionable. However, in dissecting every other chart, I have built my thesis around the same pattern as Bitcoin, and I'm going to explain to you how this one slides right in there perfect as well. And it's basically the same pattern in general. We have five waves up for wave one complete, and this correction is not done yet. So whoever called the low in June, like a few people have, including myself at one point, I take that right back. It is not done, and I think the worst is yet to come. So if you think ETH is still expensive, you're right. And if you think this little tiny move down since the highs is a full correction, then I think you're wrong because corrections are not that small. That's tiny. That's a tiny correction. It's miniaturized. I mean, it's fair enough if sometimes, patterns expand, etc., but it's not going to. Okay, and I'll explain why. And it's the same as Bitcoin, right? When you have a move this big from basically worthless 40 cents, well, I can't say it's worthless. I think XRP is worth that at the moment, right? My point being is that for something that's moved up like this in five waves, it's going to come down to the previous fourth wave of wave three at least, right? So that on this chart is about $137. It could be a little bit higher. We could even be hitting that 161 area like Bitcoin did when it first corrected back from 1,200 or something, right? Back in 2013, whatever, right? Like you got to remember Bitcoin came from $0 up to 1,000 and then back to 161, right? So what's the big deal with assuming that ETH won't do the same, right? It's just a corrective pattern and there's a correction that needs to unfold, right? So regardless of your biases, I'm not here to deal with your biases. I'm here to deal with the waves. And I think that it just takes a little bit of, informing yourself to understand why I believe that. If you don't care, that's fine. Magic Poop Cannon down the road there, he's probably aiming for the moon right now. So go catch that shot while he was still hot. So in general, this pattern for me, I've had to save it to last for the reasons I stated earlier. So these are the waves, pretty straightforward, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not rocket science, right? But I base this off the Bitcoin count, and I base this off a lot of other things too. So in the current correction, we have ABC so far, D as well. So let me go down to the 4-hour chart and I'll explain from the top. Okay, the only thing strange about this wave A is the short wave A of the zigzag. But right in the middle, you can see a giant zigzag. That's a wave D. Then you had an E and an extended wave C. But all in all, you can see all the corrective patterns in there. That's A, that's B, that's C. Now, it gets tricky here when you look at this, looks like a 5-wave move, except it's not. Okay, and you might ask, well, how do you know that? Like, are you guessing? No, I'm not. So for starters, this is the like type 2 zigzag count, right? And I'll explain it in a sec, right? So for starters, one thing that you cannot do in like for example, okay, let me start it like this. Let's just say for example, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Because it looks like a 5-wave move, right? Okay, for starters, corrections are not, they don't look like 3-wave moves, right? I don't know if you've watched my material enough. corrections don't look like this. Okay, what I believe this is an A, B, C, D, E, right? And you can see that line from the end of wave A to end of wave B respected quite nicely. You can see it right there. But on top of it, there's one rule completely broken here. If you do think that it is a 5-wave move, like that wave 3, for example, and I'm just going to spell it out for you right now in case you're doubting me. Wave 3 is the shortest, okay? It's the shortest wave. So that rule is completely broken, right? If you wanted to look at it in any other way, it doesn't work. None of these corrections up here can possibly make this a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. That doesn't work. I've tried it and it does fit Bitcoin's pattern of a D wave. It's just an expanded type 2 zigzag. What does that mean? It means that wave B ended above the end of wave A. Okay, very similar pattern occurred in the small degree in XLM recently, right? And that's when I managed to call the top of that move, right? Now, obviously, this is unconfirmed still because we're going to move lower, but that's sort of coming. It's in the process, and I haven't been proved wrong yet. Okay, if I get proved wrong, I understand. Anyway, so I'll explain to you how this pattern also differs a little bit than the Bitcoin pattern, right? So you had wave 1 here, wave 1, you had A, right? B instead of D, and then you had your little C and your D, right? And you'll notice that there never made a new low, so it counts as a D quite well, right? If you would have made another low, then it would have been a bit different. But that wave C right there, if you look at the small degree, you can see a small 4-5 in there. It's just small. Apart from that, that's an E wave. Okay, and we've had a turnaround move as well. It never went above the start of wave 1. So to me, we're going lower. Okay, so lower as in back to $100 probably, right? This thing is overvalued and it's also in need of a good correction. It hasn't had a proper correction. Okay, so from the highs, it's fallen 81%. Big deal. That doesn't mean anything, right? You could fall another 90%. Okay, and then if you calculate it from the top, that will only be 97%. Well, it could go to 99%, right? Wave 2 can go up to 99% correction. It can. There's no rule broken if it does that, right? But I don't think it will. Obviously, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it's got to come back to the previous fourth wave area, especially because this correction is not expanding to the upside. Clearly, it's not. Clearly, it hasn't, right? And there's one more wave left, and it's E. And we all know wave E's are terrible, right? They're not nice. Wave E is not suddenly just going to change because Ethereum wants it to. It's just going to conform to how waves operate. So, yeah, that's how I see it. And I believe that a lot of these little mini shitty coins that are still out there based on Ethereum will probably go to zero, right? And if anyone still wants to buy them, good luck. Hopefully, it doesn't go to zero before you decide to buy it. That's all I can say. Because, yes, this is quite a big move. And if you haven't seen my Bitcoin videos where I talk about these wave E's and how they can be pretty bad, well, this is basically going to be the worst one Ethereum has seen, I believe. All right, because the previous wave E's are pretty tame in comparison. So therefore, the only other thing I want to mention is where wave 4 ended. Wave 4 ended down here, according to the waves, according to the count, and no big deal. It's just the way I see it. That's a wave E, so the whole thing's a wave E. It's a mangled wave E. Wave 5 was the March 2020 low. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was a D there. See another example how D looks kind of extended. This is not quite an expanded D wave there, but still. A, B, C right there. But look, whatever it is, we're going to find out, right? We're going to find out how wrong I am and all that crap, right? If I'm wrong. If I'm not wrong, well, you could just buy ETH cheaper. What's the problem? There's no problem, right? There's a lot of things that are going to move down in this market. I expect them to, just my own opinion. You don't have to follow it. I believe oil is going to move down, the Dow Jones, Bitcoin, the Euro, ETH, cryptos in general. I think there's a move down left before we move up in wave three, right? And when I say wave three, I believe it's going to be massive for Ethereum. If you just took the length of wave one and doubled it, that alone would explain where this is going, even if you put it down from $137, right? Where I'm saying is such a doom and gloom thing, right? I still expect this thing to go to at least $1.5 million per ETH. Why not? Are you saying it's impossible? Is that what you're thinking? That's okay, because if you don't believe that it's going to do that from $137, then you sure as hell won't believe it from current levels, which is probably even more, right? Even more unrealistic would be for you to expect it to go to $175 million per ETH. Okay. So if you want to talk about realistic, if you don't realistically think it's going to correct properly and you unrealistically take the length of wave one and extrapolate it from where it is now, I believe that you are being unrealistic, right? At least if it gets a good correction, you can buy more of it. It's a win-win. Okay. If you feel hurt by my predictions because you currently hold ETH, well, you know what? No one's perfect. Nobody ever buys where you're supposed to buy. Well, most people don't. Some people catch a trend at the right time, like when it first started. If you're impatient and you got it from lower, be more patient, right? Success breeds success. Buy some more or whatever, right? The point is that things have a strategic way of operating when it comes to the waves. I teach this. It's very easy once you get a hang of it. But you know, I don't like to paint pictures of exuberance, crazy, ridiculous, irrational exuberance. At the same time, I'm not trying to be a doom and gloomer, right? I'm just trying to tell you how waves typically work, especially when the corrections are not expanded to the upside. So hopefully you found this video interesting and informative. Thank you for watching.